Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. My name is Merv. I go by Crolin, and I'm a senior producer for ArcheAge. With me today, I have Amory. Her name's Amanda. She's a producer for ArcheAge, and over Skype, Serafina is joining us. Her name is Celestrata, and she is our senior community manager. What's going on, everybody? It's been a long time. Good to see you all.
It's been a long time since, because we've been doing a lot of things. We've been at PAX South. We got to meet a bunch of you actually face to face. The most obvious one of them all, we got to meet YouTube Jason Wivart, who did a 56-minute interview with you, Crow.
It was quite a lengthy interview, but a good one.
It was a great one, as a matter of fact. If you haven't seen it, make sure to drop by his channel and watch it. I know he's been doing highlights and excerpts since then. But then we all got back, and then a very bad thing happened. Someone got sick.
Someone. By which you mean half of the office?
The PAX Pox.
Yeah, the PAX Pox. We don't know how it began. It just spread like the plague because it was one.
Yeah.
And man, it took out people from us. It took out you and me, Merv. It took out Linda for a week and a half. Yep. My boss, Brass, and people from Trove and Rift. Everyone got sick almost simultaneously. So.
But we're back.
I know.
We're better, and it's great. And you guys in chat called out that we do have Aviator Kirby joining us today. He's all decked out from Possum Festival that's going on now.
Yeah,
say hi to
it's
Aviator
awesome.
Kirby's
so hyped to be here. Like that smile on that face.
He's actually. So I just gave him treats because he's wearing a hat, and so he's basically staring at me drooling. I think that's his plan for the whole stream.
That's fair. Nice look, Kirby. Nice look. So, now that we're all back from PAX and we survived the PAX Pox, we have a lot of things to talk about, obviously. And now we realized that this week's live stream announcement didn't go out, so many of you were like, oh, I want to put questions on the forums or things like that. But we tried to actually grab a bunch of your major issues from the forums. And if you guys have questions, please toss them in the chat. We'll try and get to them throughout the stream, because today's going to be mostly devoted to answering your questions and your concerns. But off the bat, I think everyone's already in chat saying it. So I guess I could say it the nice way, which is, hey, can we get an update on server transfers? Or I could say it in the ArcheAge way, which is just transfers.
First post, transfers.
Transfers. First post, fixed transfers.
Let's talk about it, but first let's jump into game. We're on the Vengeance server today. That's NA Fresh Start server. Being driven around by the lovely GM Amory atop a what is that?
Mirage
Liliot horse. Right on. Okay, so let's talk transfers, guys. We have a date for you on which transfers will be enabled. So we've been testing over the last week internally on our QA server. Things check out very well. We're ready to bring that service back to you guys, and we're going to do that on the 16th of this month. That's next Thursday. Transfers will be available for NA legacy servers and EU legacy servers. The previous transfer rules still all apply. Transfers will be available for 1 credit for the week following. So that means from February 16th to February 23rd, transfers will be available for 1 credit on North American and European legacy servers.
I know I'm hype about that. I'm so hype about that. I mean, Kirby's hype about it. You can kind of just hear it.
Kirby's hype about a lot of things right now. Are you going to transfer servers, Kirby? Are you going to transfer? All right.
Follow-up is name change. That's a good question. Chat, thanks for asking. So if you are transferring, the name change service is available if someone on your destination server has your name. The actual name change service will be ready shortly after that. As I mentioned before, they use kind of the same tech, but the focus was transfers now, and name changes will follow after that date.
Awesome. So that's a lot of good news for you guys. Hope you guys are all very excited. And moving on beyond that, I think some people are talking about it now. There's a specific question on, can we talk about any server issues that EU Prophecy is specifically having? But we should start with the more broader one, which is kind of like the black and gray screen problem that we've been tackling for a while at this point, since the update of 3.0. And to combat those, we've been restarting the game about every 48 hours. What progress have we made on that front?
So XL's provided us with another update. That update is actually live now. So we're in a situation where we're ready to let live servers kind of pass that threshold and see how they perform. With our tests internally, the gray screen has gone away, but we need to see it at scale in the live environment. So we will be skipping our upcoming restarts on the 24-hour or 48-hour basis, and we're going to see how servers perform. Of course, if we do encounter that same issue, we will restart again. But there's a lot of progress that's been made there, and that's good because it's been quite some time. So happy to see that go live, and I'm ready for it to work.
Yeah, I think we're all ready for it to work at this point with doing all those restarts, and especially the livestock, because the livestock can die now.
Right.
And
yes. I have a neighbor that has had wilted plants for like 3 weeks straight at this point, and they never actually die. They just reset.
what is dead may never die.
Basically, yes.
Now, specifically, I know some people on Prophecy have been reporting things like server lag every once in a while, or they've been reporting, disconnections, and we're looking into that stuff still, right?
Yes.
Oh, we are, absolutely. And I mean, there's been several situations over the last couple weeks where Fresh Start still has a population that, when everybody's called to a same zone or there's an event that's going on, that kind of adds that load on top of the normal traffic in a zone. We are seeing that latency. There's a couple other things that are contributing to it, but we have a lot of logging in place to track that. I think it'll continue to get better as it has over the last weeks, continue to get better over time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, also popping into chat, I knew this was going to come up. It's kind of like the talk of the town right now. Information on one of our players solicited running the game apparently with a mod pack on. Obviously, guys, as you all know, that's against the rules. We don't like it when you guys attempt to cheat or mod the game in any sort of unauthorized ways. We've said this time and time again. Now, specifically, I know everyone's like, what are you guys going to do? We're going to follow along with our standard policy on that, which is if we do anything, we're going to talk to the player directly, and it's going to remain private. So if the player wants to talk about it, they are welcome to, but otherwise, we hope everyone kind of respects that sort of privacy balance that we have here. So as always, thank you guys for bringing it up. If you guys see any suspicious behavior, make sure to report it to us. You can do so either by reporting bots in-game using the bot report tool, which we showed a couple weeks back, or you can drop by support.trionworlds.com, and we'll be happy to take your reports there and have a GM look into it. So we absolutely appreciate all those types of reports. Okay, so next major topic that I have on the list, we have, the rules on blocking. So I've seen a bunch recently, a lot of players asking me about blocking rules. They're asking what are the specific rules and mechanics behind blocking, what can I do, what can't I do, why was blocking banned in the first place. I see all these hauler trains, and I think blocking would be a great way to correct that. Blocking has always been a long-standing issue in the community for some time. During the time when we weren't, actively held a rule on it at all, and then we moved over to actually holding a rule after a long time of negative feedback from the community. That wasn't like out of the blue. It wasn't just a random decision. It was from
a long history. Yeah, that's been a topic since ArcheAge launch. Since Alpha even. Yeah.
Exactly. And some of it was exacerbated by certain players showing that you could absolutely block the majority of the trade runs across a continent using a couple systems in the game. And that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool for anyone. It wasn't fun. There was no counterplay to it. And that's the most important part is, a mechanic is great if you can counterplay it. Yep. But if you're in a safe zone and someone just decides to load up 50 haulers in an area and just stick them in random ways, you can't get around that.
Go AFK. That was another part of it. It's not even just counterplay, but these people weren't even at their computers being inconvenienced while they inconvenienced traffic through an entire zone.
Right, and we've been over this before where, we could, some people are like, why don't you put back an AFK kick? Right. Obviously that's a temporary solution and not a great one either. It wouldn't exactly eliminate the problem. So we came up with this rule of just blocking entirely. And the specific rules behind that are quite simple. It's you can't block anywhere in the continent, whether it's in a PvP area or not. You just cannot block a road in a way that a player cannot cross that area. Now, of course, people are always like, well, what about this? What about this? And they try and nitpick apart the rule, especially when they're stealing haulers or attempting to get a hauler back that's been stolen. Obviously, if your hauler's been stolen, remind yourself to use things like, owner's mark and keep an eye on it when there are other players about.
Was that an owner's mark PSA?
Yeah, that was an owner's mark PSA because people still don't do it. But it's really, that's the basis of the rule is just don't block in an area, even if it's in a PvP zone, because obviously in the game we have peace zones, we have conflict zones that are always rotating, and sometimes it's hard for a GM to catch up to a report when the zone flips, you know, and they may not see that it's been in peace when the report was made. So, with all of that in mind, we know that you have continuing questions on it. The one exception to the rule is naval blockades, and the only reason that rule is outside of the normal blocking rule is because naval blockades are a legitimate warship tactic. They're seen in a variety of battles, and obviously most of warship battles and blocking would take place in a PvP zone.
Right. And
so
collision
if
damage
you
generally applies in those zones.
Yes, exactly. So if you actually can create a blockade of ships and are willing to sacrifice them, you know, be our guest, that's entirely your call. But otherwise, we ask that you do not block your friends and people around you. So thanks for all the concern and questions on it. Hopefully that clears some of it up. And if you have any more questions, please drop by the forums, and we'll be happy to dive further into it. So on top of that, the next one right below it was talking about the recent Double Everything event that we started running. And some people are really excited about this. They're really happy that, you know, we've given a whole variety of gains across the game, from honor to experience to vocation points. But of course, some people are a little unhappy with it. And what's your take on all that, Merv?
You know, we talked about in the past just a general appreciation and gifts that we want to give for, you know, like, just kind of sticking with us through the 3.0 issues that we've experienced. And I think this is just one component of that. There's no kind of defined thing that, yes, here is the thing that is final and completed and we've given it away. But for right now, we thought it would be appropriate, since the runes were pretty popular, especially on Fresh Start servers. We decided to bring those back for a week and then turn on Double Everything, which is something we've not done on Fresh Start yet, for a week. And that's just a component of the things that we thought would be, you know, just a nice thing for you guys to enjoy. While some people have varying opinions on what is effective and what isn't, if it's good enough, that sort of a thing, I mean, it's fair. You guys are entitled to your opinions. But I'd just like you to know that this is just one part of the things that we will be giving to you when it comes to just providing bonuses or, you know, giving you guys additional stuff. Now, one of the things that I needed to mention was double loot drop is enabled, and that's kind of a big deal, especially if you guys are hunting obsidian components or, you know, that sort of a thing, because the drop rate is a lot greater than it has been when this event is active. So that's maybe something you want to take advantage of. I know also folks have been running greater dungeons repeatedly for abyssal shards. So there are things like that that you may not be aware of that are beneficial to do during this event.
We kind of laughed when we turned it on. We saw everyone kind of run to the library almost immediately.
It was forming up library raids immediately, yeah.
I mean, that's a great idea. It's a perfect use. You know, you get the experience and you get all the great items within the library from the double drop rate. So there's a lot to love here, and we hope players really, you know, take to it and enjoy it. Well, a bunch of the feedback we've been getting from the events, especially, is you guys want to do fun things in game, but you also want to make sure that they're can be done on your time. You know, you don't want to be forced within certain time slots, and that's why the whole event has been set up, you know, to run for the entire week. Log in when you can, play when you can, and you can always get that benefit. So
it's also kind of like, you know, the events, the bonuses that are enabled right now, kind of, you know, they help everybody, right? These are things that, depending on your play style, you may favor one of the bonuses over the other, but they're all active, and that allows us to kind of give benefits to a larger audience than we could just by giving out one specific thing. Quilladon just mentioned, you know, legacy players maybe after Mysterious Garden Powder with the drop rate. Fresh Start players probably aren't doing that same because the prices are a little bit cheaper there. But, you know, if you'd like to gain honor from going to world events and those sorts of things, now's the time to do that stuff, and you can kind of pick the way you want to receive your bonus. Yep.
So, you know, jump in, try to pull up what you need from this event. It's a great idea while it's running. And, of course, just to jump over to the chat quickly, too, I see a couple questions like on a completely different topic, which is on rentable siege equipment, such as the tanks, and why are they available to rent for sieges and how they affect balance within the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of, we would need to consider it more deeply for Fresh Start servers. It's been a concern, mostly because it empowers the offense on sieges greatly at their current state of progression. On legacy servers, it's not that big of a deal, seeing that siege equipment has existed for quite some time. So it's just one of those things where, we had fresh start servers with 3.0, and 3.0 also introduced the ability to rent things. I mean, it could be argued that being able to rent a car this early on fresh start also has an impact when running trade packs, but it's just kind of included in, this round of fresh start servers. It's one of the things to consider, and it's definitely on our list of notes to review next time we do fresh start. So.
Yep. Actually, Joker just actually asked, speaking of Mysterious Garden Powder, which we just brought up before, that we were going to, in the past, we talked about following up on the drop rate of Mysterious Garden Powder and changing it. And he wanted to ask if anything had been done on that front.
Nothing to my knowledge yet.
Mm-hmm. Still watching the economy and see how it performs, obviously. And with, other things that jumping in, things like the double events and other changes to the economy can also affect those prices. As I'm looking through the chat and I'm waiting for a couple more questions to pop out, there was one other major discussion that was happening on the forums, and that was people talking about losing patron time or having patron time taken away. And we know that that's definitely a concern, especially when people see it just pop out. Initially, when we saw those reports, I and customer service, we worked closely together. In fact, it was GM Tynan who was helping me out a lot on this. We were looking into were people actually losing patron time. That was we just wanted to make sure that people were getting what they were entitled to. And it turns out everyone's patron time is actually reading and reducing correctly. So if you had 30 days of patron time, or you get some compensation patron time from one of the compensation events, all of that actually is deducting correctly.
Right.
Now, why does it look different? Why all of a sudden do I go from at one point from 14 days and I shoot down to 3? That is actually a visual bug within the way our system counts patron time right now, and it centers a lot on how the system interprets compensation time.
Yeah.
So that bug has been escalated to our Glyph team to look into, and they are taking a look at it. But rest assured, the most important thing out of all of this is you're not losing patron time when you see this. It's not being taken away from you. It hasn't been deleted. It is counting down correctly. It just is it's just failing to update every once in a while, and you'll stick at 14 days for a while.
I wanted to grab a couple of questions from chat.
Yeah.
The transfer service will be available for 1 credit for the week that I mentioned. If you guys are just joining us, that's going to be from February 16th through February 23rd. That transfers are available for North American European Legacy servers for 1 credit. After that, it will return to the 2,700 credit price that it was before. Name changes will happen sometime after that and will be the normal price when that service is restored. Now, also from chat, I see people mentioning several things. First of all, one of them is the Leviathan. I mentioned on a previous live stream that we were talking to XL, trying to get the Leviathan in a more manageable state with the current 3.0 condition of ships and sails and the durability thereof. XL has agreed tentatively to review the Leviathan and has proposed a couple things, and these are changes that may come to us in the future that would make the Leviathan more contestable. So those are things we're working on right now. It's just in a design phase right now. There's no actual changes that I'm prepared to talk about yet, but it's something that is moving forward. So I'm happy to say that the Leviathan will likely become a reasonable objective in the near future. Another point on Ravager form, I see some folks spamming that in chat. Ravager form is a strong form. Especially if you know a lot about ArcheAge's past. They did some stuff, some pretty very serious stuff. Quilladon, help me. But with regard to skills and just the balance thereof, that's something we really rely on XL Games for. We have over in the past couple weeks said, what's your guys' opinion on Ravager? A lot of folks reported strong, especially after Sieges or Halcyona or something like that, where it's made a very big impact on that sort of gameplay. But we're kind of reliant on XL with the way that they adjust that. So if they make changes, you guys might see it in Korea. We will likely follow those changes. But that's not a confirmation or anything. It's just saying that, we brought it up as a concern that we've seen from players, and it's up to them to make that decision.
Yep. See a couple people. Wow, some people are already asking about 3.5 in PTS. A little early.
It's definitely early. I mean, we're targeting early summer for 3.5, but it's way too early for us to get into conversations about that, although we are excited and some of Trion's creators, Percy, Sparks, Karita, have been doing a great job kind of reviewing the state of 3.5 in Korea and communicating some of those changes on the forums. While that's not official information from us, it's a really good summary of what's happening in Korea. As we get closer to 3.5, you guys can look forward to our spotlight articles and live streams where we discuss, what's happened to 3.5 and more information about it.
Yep. I see another question. This is another follow-up from before with Cleaner AFK asking about Lunarite and the superior fire and wave Lunarite prices and fine fire and wave Lunarite prices. I know we've talked about looking at Lunarite in the economy and maybe changing drop rates or thinking about that. Has there been more changes or conversation around that?
There has been more conversation around it. Nothing concrete yet, but it is recognized as too expensive for the general price point that we anticipate them to be at, which means they will likely in the future drop from some other method. But there's no concrete definition there. We just can agree that it's too expensive right now.
Yep. So Alan Strongfeet has asked, I've been looking for a GM, or why aren't they on the servers, or why aren't they present on servers? Our GMs actually always, as we said a couple times now, our GMs are always present on servers. They're just, Tynan and Stormhawk, and a lot of them, will jump around from server to server, and we'll visit for a period of time, ask questions, and see how people are doing. Now, you can't call a GM on the server, obviously. It's not like they can just immediately, you can be like, hey, GM, I need some assistance.
Not a person on every server 24 hours a day, every day.
Right. They're moving around to all the servers. And the reason they do that is because we get the various support tickets in from our support site. They look at the reports and then follow up with that as they, go through all of the reports that they get per day. So sometimes, when they do that, they're not always visible. They're not always talking. But they are in game and they are present and trying to help other folks out, and they are usually also following up on things like bot reports or reports of bad behavior, blocking, things like that. So just because you don't see them always talking doesn't mean they're there. They are there very frequently, as a matter of fact. And
a lot of times if they're investigating, they don't talk, because as soon as they say a word in chat, it's like the questions never stop. And that's awesome, but if they're trying to track down 5 reports, they usually can only do one or the other at a time.
Yeah, and the other thing is the minute they log on the server and say hi, hi, I'm a GM, you can be sure all the botters and stuff will immediately just log out. And Fnatic just asked, how do you run in the air? Well, GM Hammery here is a hacker.
GM hacks, sorry.
GM hacks.
Look, I'll run like a normal person. There we go. With my horsey in a peace zone so he can't be killed.
Gen Dragon, wait, did Crolin ask Quill for help?
I did, because I was going to go on this tangent about, the destruction of Esna and the Ravagers and all of that great stuff, but Quill can just describe it much better than I can, so I opted out of that and asked for help.
This is one of those questions that has come up with the forum a couple of times, and I see it in the chat now. Are we going to be getting the new wings? And obviously there's a new emote, I should say, with a certain dance.
There's a lot of stuff in Korea that we're anticipating. I think, the S200, the luxury cars, are one of the things that our legacy servers are eager to receive, and it's in the timetable.
Actually, too.
Yep, it's definitely in the timetable. With regard to some of the new stuff that Korea has available for Valentine's Day, we might get a modified version of it, but yeah, it's still a little bit too early for us to talk about. They just released it, and we need to review it. So, that's kind of the state of that.
Cool. Any really VR support? Are we considering VR support? I guess for the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive.
That's a good question for XL.
No, we're not.
We aren't
considering it.
Right?
If you sit really close to the monitor and have one of those, curved monitors.
Oh no! Look, I thought I was safe, and I'm wrong. I was east. Rip horsey. I wasn't even a player that time. Worse.
I will say this. I mean, you can play certain games and stuff. There are programs for your Oculus Rift and HTC Vive where you could play a game within virtual reality on a flat screen or a movie screen.
Right, it's projected in the goggles.
Yeah, so it can be huge. I don't know if I would play like that though, because there's a little bit of I have the Vive now. I've been trying it out. There's a little bit of lag doing that, so I'm not sure if it would be a perfect fit for playing in virtual reality like that. So, but that's up to you. If you really want to do it, go for it.
I'm really sad right now. Kirby is canoodling with the giant hellbug, but he's off screen. I was like, what is he chewing on?
Canoodling, huh?
Yeah, he's like all snuggled up with it, being adorable.
Yep.
A couple questions from chat about transfers from fresh start to fresh start. That would be for North America, and that is not something that's considered in the current release of the transfer service next week.
Yep.
I don't have any ETA on if that will be a thing, but
Yeah.
for right now, it's not.
From Pedotas, any information on the February update?
Yes, February update is targeted for, let's see, let me pull up my calendar here. It's going to be the 21st of this month. February update is going to feature the Thunderwing Titan in Reed Plains, north of Diamond Shores, and the much-awaited upgradable underwear system. And we will probably be discussing that next week if we have a good enough build to demo that on. But, we want to show you guys the actual encounter and that sort of thing, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. But there's going to be more information for you guys to read as we get closer. But it's right around the corner, it really is. So I hope you guys are ready to try Thunderwing. I'm
super excited about this because it looks so awesome. I want to see if people can handle it too. I want to see if how fast will it be downed? When will it be downed? Who will down it first? These are all great questions. Things I highly look forward to the answers of.
How many players will he murder?
The answer's a lot.
A lot.
Krillodon, underwear meta. Quail, if you want to come in, buddy.
What does that
and
mean?
You want
Just
to talk
wear underwear? Underwear meta?
underwear meta?
Put your underwears on.
That's right.
So some other people are talking about. Oh, I actually got a question from Molly, and let's hit that first before jumping into the next topic, which I was going to go into the Valentine's Day events. So there are some PTSers were actually asking if the Lodestone was supposed to take damage with Refuge rank 5, and they're asking if that is normal for it to do so.
Sorry, I need clarification on that question.
Okay. Which clarification?
This was reported on PTS that the Lodestone is taking full damage with Refuge rank 5?
It was just taking damage with Refuge rank 5. And if it's supposed to take damage.
I'm going to need to look at that specific case.
Okay. So, there you go, Molly. We'll look at it. Now with that, oh geez, now I just looked over at the chat briefly and I just saw glowing underwear meta. Let's talk about Valentine's Day.
You're saying that if you have underwear on, it should glow at like Celestial Plus? Is that what that request is? Tikus?
Apparently.
You want Celestial glowing underwear?
How would that work with like clothing? Like when you put the clothing on, the glow just goes
glows
away?
through the seams,
Glows behind, yeah.
That's a
that
nice
would be
boat.
crazy.
This is a lovely boat.
I don't think you're dressed appropriately to be in that boat.
I'm not. Hang on.
No.
Hang on. Yeah.
There it is. Much more appropriate.
So let's talk about the Valentine's Day event a little bit.
Let's do it.
Okay, Valentine's Day event. So, in Windscour Savannah, there will be a rift. And the rift will appear very shortly, actually. It looks like probably in about 2 hours that event will be enabled. It's going to appear kind of close to the Possum Festival, and it will feature Yadas.
Yadas and
Yadas.
green bends and Yadas, mostly Yadas.
And there's a lot of story that's going on there. It's a continuation of the Prince Yateo and Princess Greeniette saga. You guys can kind of interact with that rift and see what's going on there. But you guys will remember the one that was in, Falcorth, that had some strange creatures that are not Anthelon-oriented that came out of the rift. Well, you're going to enjoy that again. You'll kill the rift. You'll get some rewards for doing so, most notably a candy at the end of that. There's also rewards for completion. So... yeah, that's a pretty crazy rift. I expect to see a ton of people in Windscour avenging Princess Greeniette.
Princess Greeniette's honor has been impunged. It's not acceptable.
It's because Yateo, he was after it just for like the alliance between houses. He wants to take all of Greeniette's stuff.
Stealing, cheating, liar.
You're going to get a rental costume to be able to participate in that. I mean, you can attack normally, but the costume has an ability that you can use while you're participating in the rift. It may speed things up when you get closer to the final boss. It is a temporary costume that's just available for that event. But yeah, I mean, you guys need to check it out. You need to see it for yourselves in all its majesty. I'll stop there.
Sixar asks, can we get some legitimate readings as story material on this love story, or is it going to be all obscure and in quest text? Well, it's going to be in quest text, number one. But number two, this is a continuation. If you guys remember last year, we released the Yateo and Brainiac costumes, and in those articles was actually the whole background of the love story between the two. And that, they are betwixt lovers from two separate houses.
The feud between the Yadas and the Green Men started when, a Yada ate a shrub that was actually a Green Man.
Yes.
And then everything just went to shit from there, because you do. He just
it's all downhill from there, folks.
What was he supposed to do? He likes shrubs. So,
this is the craziest storyline.
It's good. It's like some soap opera.
Well, it's really good. It's really nice because a lot of the ArcheAge storylines are kind of depressing and dark sometimes, and then we have this one. it's yes.
This is amazing.
It's always good to hear more from those two. So another question from chat. I see a couple times popping up. Are we going to get an Endless Arrows fix? But I don't really know. You guys are asking this, but what do you mean by that? Do you want it sped up? Do you want it slowed down? Let's be a bit more specific here.
There's a pretty easy answer to that, too. We're going to get whatever Korea gets. So if Korea decides to change Endless Arrows, we will follow.
Yeah. And as we always do with, class balance and skill balance overall. Previously, I don't remember who asked this, unfortunately, but they're asking again, when are hollows coming out for fresh start servers, or when can we see those enter back into the game's economy?
I think we're getting close to that point, but we're going to have to see a little bit more. I mean, it's one of those things that I mentioned in the past that we need to make sure that it's right for where we're at, but we do see players with upgraded cars and that sort of thing on Fresh Start, because you can buy the vehicle upgrade device from the general merchant, so we'll see. I think we're getting close.
Yep. And also on the same boat, we think we said this a little bit earlier, the new cars, a date on new cars.
We don't have a date on new cars. However, they are in the kind of long list of upcoming stuff. We are planning out what things come when in our builds, and that one is on the list for sure.
Yeah, and probably sooner rather than later and that's for Legacy.
Yeah. All right, so Jen Alyssa had a question, I believe. I see drops, so I'm going to assume that we're talking about the drops of forgiveness. Probably if there's going to be any changes. I know some players are still they're still cheap. It's a little bit too easy to flip back and forth between pirate and main factions still. And if there's any further changes coming to the drops as there were before.
The drops are available for honor, and we've debated whether they're appropriately priced. My personal opinion is they're a little bit too cheap, but chat, what do you guys think? Do you think that drops of forgiveness are appropriately priced for honor? Should the price be raised? Should they be removed entirely? I'd like to see what you guys think.
All right, cool. I'm certain that will absolutely take over our chat within seconds before you give me a car. Oh, there it is. Too cheap, too expensive, too cheap. Too expensive.
Too
cheap, too expensive. Good price.
Make them bound. Right. Make them bound. That's interesting.
That is interesting, actually.
Yeah.
That is just a mixed bag.
That is really
That is a real mixed bag. There really is.
You know why? It's because it's people who use them and people who sell them or don't care, and everybody's going to have an opinion based on how you interact with them. I do think making them bound is an interesting suggestion. Yeah.
There's one honest guy, Paul Lopez at 10. Too expensive. I'm pirate. Well,
bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And whenever we talk about things like this, should it be this way or that way? We see a lot of this sort of mixed response. It just depends on how you interact with it and how you play. And if maybe half of you don't even care at all because you just do your own thing.
What is it? I've never needed one, right?
Yeah. You didn't because when you were a pirate, you got sent to trial and they voted you innocent, and you went straight back to your faction because you had never died
that
as
was
a
the
pirate.
Best day of my life in ArcheAge.
Right. So that's how to bypass drops
It
of
was
forgiveness. Just don't die as a
3,200
pirate
crime points.
and then get innocent the first time you go to jail.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That was
I told a really good story.
2 years ago now.
It was.
Right.
It was glorious.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Yep.
I just don't believe that. Excel the Farmer, when's the Dragon Cultist costume coming back to Fresh Start servers? There's always a lot of questions on specific costumes and items
I know.
coming back.
I don't know for that one, to be completely honest.
It's an awesome costume,
Right.
though. That's definitely the one I wear most of the time when we do town halls or that sort of a thing. My favorite. I agree.
I mean, it's that. If I'm not wearing that, I'm usually wearing Blood Maw Evening Wear. But it's usually one of the two. Because I love them both so much. Tojiman, are we going to get rewards for having over 300 juries served?
I don't know.
Not that I've seen. It's just the standard rewards for the previous milestones, but I haven't seen any additional stuff for that.
Yep. Expendable Zero. When are town halls coming back? We've been so busy traveling and everything, we haven't really sat down and talked about the town hall schedule. So I guess the answer is probably going to be, let's look at the calendar quick. Let's see, you want to do one after February 23rd?
I'm down. I love doing those. It's great to be on server. I mean, we kind of get a level of interaction that we don't normally have. So I'm all for that. We had to postpone them because everybody's was inundated with the Revelation release and then a season of conventions and that sort of thing. So I think we're at a point now where we can start doing those again, and I am eager to jump on server and talk to you guys.
Yeah, I've been eager too. Like I missed them. I actually honestly missed them. They're one of my favorite parts of the job because doing the doing the forums is a lot of fun, but getting face-to-face time with people on servers is always much cooler. So let's say we've been doing them like on Thursdays or Fridays. Let's do Thursdays because that was probably a better day for us. Let's say the February 23rd. Sounds like everyone's good for it. So, I need to look to see where we were at last because we've been bouncing between North America and Europe to make sure they get equal time. But I think Europe got one less, so it might just end up being Europe. But we'll find out. That's a great question. Thank you, Expendable. Oh, royal seed drop rate. So some people have been asking about royal seeds and increasing the drop rates because they're really, really low, or if that's like really intended for the royal seeds to be that low.
I mean, that's just something that's being kind of, the ArcheAge economy balances itself out with regard to that sort of a thing. Now, if the drop rate is too low, it could be a condition based on people not getting them too frequently or moving on to bundles instead of single planting. So there are various factors there, not just the drop rate. It's also a participation metric. So no changes for it right now, but it's something that we do monitor.
Mm-hmm.
I know my drop rate just went through the floor because I used to single plant barley. I'm now on bundles, and it's just not even remotely the same.
We've talked about it in the past. It's like one of those things where if you're a newer player of ArcheAge and you're getting involved, single planting is pretty much the only thing you can do, and it also still yields a decent amount of gold. If you're a legacy player and you're totally over single planting like me, I mean, you prefer bundles and then you make money other ways and buy those from the people who will single plant. So it's just kind of the way it works.
Yep. So from me to X, aimed at Crolin, you said certain servers are nearing a merger or change threshold in the PAX interview. Could you explain more?
With regard to that right now, we're constantly monitoring the states of legacy servers, and in the past I've been very forthcoming with the fact that I don't want to merge, that I like the situations of just allowing those people who have played on legacy for a long time to maintain their land. We're interested to see what's going to happen after transfers, because if you're just joining the stream now, I mentioned earlier that transfers will be available on the 16th of this month. That's this coming Thursday for North American and European legacy servers. And transfers will likely change the landscape. I mean, some folks may either move away from the lower population servers, and we're just kind of interested to see what happens then. I plan to evaluate after that process occurs, and if we have any determinations of if there's going to be a change that we'll make, we'll publicize it and let you guys know. But right now, it's kind of, we need to see what the impact of transfers are, and then evaluate from there.
Mm-hmm. Eshpa is also saying, what are your thoughts about evolutions with servers that have player nations?
So that's been brought up as a concern, and that's fair. The way other regions do it is they're less considerate of that sort of a thing. I think, I'm not really prepared to talk about it right now, but it is something that we take into consideration. If we were to ever reach that point again, it's something we would consider.
Yeah. Twilight Wolf 90, can we get free transfers with any evolutions? Well, we're going to be doing one-credit transfers very soon, so it seems like if you want to transfer, now's the time to do it. We're doing the one-credit transfers, coming up when the transfers are re-released. And what date is that again?
That's going to be the 16th. That's this coming Thursday. That's for legacy servers only.
Yep. Some more questions about 3.5. Guys, we're not at the point where we can really talk about 3.5 changes or additions quite yet. It's still a little too early for that. More questions. The hoodie costumes. I think people are talking about the old animal hoodie costumes.
No, it's a really early launch item. That never got used in the first year. It's almost like a sports like
Oh, those, yeah.
b-boy dancer kind of outfit. Like, they're actually pretty cool. No, we actually were thinking about those just a couple weeks ago when we were talking about, you know, what is on the list, what's the order of things for this year, and we actually will probably look into when we can get those available for people.
Mm-hmm.
This is
So
awesome. I'm
previous-
getting a boat ride for free, so like the screen is moving and I can look at chat again.
This is great.
Thanks,
It's
friends.
convenient, right?
I promise
so
I wasn't
think
gonna steal your boat when I flew over to it, except it was totally unguarded and there was no one driving it.
You're such a thief. Such a
It was
thief.
boat. What am I supposed to do?
Take it. That's what you
Yes.
do. If you didn't, we would wonder if something's wrong with you.
Right?
Some questions about when we'll do Fresh Start again. You know, we need to have a buffer, a good time period between them. I don't believe in releasing them too aggressively. So I can say that we're not going to do Fresh Start servers with 3.5. You know, but I have said that we'd like to do them again. It just needs to time correctly with an update. But the 3.5 release will be a little bit too soon to do that again for us.
Yep. From Super Ruba, are we going to be talking about the Perdita statues at all today, or things that we're doing for the Perdita statues?
You know, we've talked about them in the past, and just kind of, I mentioned in one of the interviews about, you know, like just the state of them and what we may change the next time we release Fresh Start, or how Perditas will be adjusted in the future. But there was recently a change where there was a level requirement added to them. It's helped to some degree, but that whole mechanic just kind of needs a review.
Yep.
What does
question
that
on the one
sign
card
say?
transfers.
You know exactly what it says. I wish I could. I would buy this
Come on,
house.
come on,
I
do
would
it,
buy
read it.
this if I had the gold, and I would just be like, bring yes.
That's an inappropriate use of candy canes,
Right.
friends.
These poor candy canes.
But it's cool. You need a little bit of that love there.
That's right.
Yep. Wow. Question on credit transfers. Will it be 1 credit per account, or can you do all of your characters for 1 credit, or is it 1 credit per character?
It is one credit per character.
Okay. So if you have 5 characters, that's 5
You
credits.
can, as long as they all meet the requirements of the transfer service, you can move them for 1 credit.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have one more question. If you missed it before, when will we get name changes back?
I mentioned that name changes, the technology for name changes uses the same as transfers, and since transfers are in a great state now, name changes will follow, but it's one of those things where we just kind of need to segment them. I mentioned that if you do transfer and your destination server has the name, your name occupied, you'll be offered a name change during that process. Question from chat, what time transfers will open on Thursday? I'm not prepared to announce that yet. But we will have a written communication about it, describing when it will be available. But you know, there's, depending on what you subscribe to, and if you're so eager to swap between auction house clusters and, you know, import or whatever you're intending to do, you know, you need to wait for the written announcement for that.
Yep. All right, guys. So we're near the end of the live stream, and that means, of course, we're going to be jumping into everyone's favorite time, which is giveaways. We'll try and answer some more questions while we're doing the giveaways too. But if you want to give away X up in chat, just toss an X in, as you're want to do. Crow, what are today's gifts?
We are giving away 3 different things. Well, actually, more than 3. One of them is going to be user choice. So yeah, get those X's and pluses in, and we will start giveaways. The first thing we're going to give away is Devilish Temptation, which is the costume you see on your screen right now. It's one of our favorites. Pretty awesome costume. We're going to give away 3 of those. So you guys get your X's in, pluses in, and we will roll shortly.
You Europeans and your pluses.
Those pluses.
It's just a sideways X. That's all it is.
Look at this sparkly, like, so sparkly.
Yeah. No, a question while we're sitting here waiting for all the X's to come in. We saw one from IRED, and I got one from Molly as well, who are major PTS players, and they were asking about the PTS marketplace getting updated.
After the stream.
All right.
We
Boom.
can totally do that. Okay, Kirby.
All right, that's good enough. If you guys have spoken in chat, you've been entered as well. But I'll give you guys actually a couple more seconds to finish Xing up. It looks like most of them are there though, so we will start rolls. We're gonna give away 3 Devilish Temptation costumes. So good luck, everybody. And here we go. Number 1 goes to CPT 38, Captain 38. Congratulations on your Devilish Temptation outfit. Looks a little bit different on dudes. Just gonna say
It
that.
does.
A little bit.
Just a little
Little
bit.
bit
though.
different
Not
on
much.
dudes. All right, number 2, Devilish Temptation goes to Pocket Tens. Congratulations, Pocket Tens. And one more of those I'm going to roll right now. Devilish Temptation goes to Flossodon.
Flossodon.
Flossodon. One of the rarest of dinosaurs.
Flossodon.
Flossodon.
Getting flossy. Flossodon.
All right, now we're moving on to 5 different giveaways. These are going to be called You Call It giveaways. So we're going to open the marketplace. We're on Fresh Start right now. It'll be a little bit different for Legacy, but we're going to go to the award tab and click the limited time token loyalty meow spot. All right, so there are 7 costumes available there on Fresh Start. Legacy has similar, a little bit different based on the way that those costumes are distributed, the differences between the 2 types of servers. If you win one of these next 5 rolls, you get to pick one of the costumes that is available here. That's pretty awesome because, you know, the wedding ball attire costume or the firework blossom, they're pretty expensive for loyalty tokens, and it's exclusive to get some of those cool color variants. So, yep, you're going to be able to call the one that you want if you're one of the next 5 winners. And again, it depends on your server type. But let's give away one of those now. Amory, if you won this roll, which costume would you pick?
Evening Blossom garb. Because I like it.
Because it's blue?
Because it's blue and I'm playing on Fresh and I can't afford it.
Right, let's see. Here we go. First roll goes to Dyker.
D-Psyker?
D-Psyker. D-C-Y-K-E-R. Congratulations on a You
Congrats.
Call It. I wonder what you're going to pick. If it was me, I would
Yep.
pick the Blackjack Yada costume.
I'm
for
shocked.
sure.
Not shocked. Not shocked.
Yeah. Awesome costume. D-Psyker.
This is one of my favorites.
Right. Number 2, You Call It. Goes to Gorgoth. Congratulations, Gorgoth.
Congratulations.
Nice.
So
Question
Estrada-
from chat. Can the
Oh.
Legacy pick others?
It has to be from a loyalty costume. So yes,
One
if
of the
you-
currently available ones, yes.
Yes.
If there's
on
one
your
that's
server.
not a limited on loyalty,
Yep.
legacy loyalty, you can pick it, but it has to be a loyalty costume.
Yeah, because Legacy will have different. They still have some of the older costumes available on theirs. They also have Devilish Temptation on theirs as well.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, Celestrado, which one would you pick?
Firework. Firework Blossom.
Firework Blossom.
It is so
Easily.
damn good looking.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
That's fair. I like the blue. Personally, I like the blue color, but you know, I
Red.
understand.
We
No,
gave
red
away
and gold,
firework
man.
blossoms on a previous stream, and I saw a screenshot of one of the folks wearing it, and man, it is just really, really good looking.
Pops really well.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, You Call It, goes to Messiah. Congratulations,
Messiah.
Messiah. That's M-I-Z-A-I-A. Number 4, You Call It. Karachi. Congratulations, Karachi.
Karachi.
Ooh.
Congrats.
And the last You Call It for today, good luck everybody, goes to V Miss Speedy. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
V Miss Speedy.
Someone asked where your sailor outfit is, Murph.
I'm not wearing that. That's where it
You
is.
really should.
In the trash can.
No.
Not wearing it.
I remember during PAX, someone loaded it onto his GM character.
Sounds brilliant, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on wearing that. Thanks though. Although Molly did give me one on PTS the other day, and I did wear it for about 30 seconds, but that's the end of that. Last giveaway of today. This is for a Archeum pack, fresh starter or legacy, depending on your server type. This is for an Archeum pack, and I'll give you guys just another second to finish Xing up. No, I'm not wearing the sailor outfit. Sorry, Balzora. That's not something we do.
Really, we've tried to get him to do that.
I
for a
realize
year
you're
now.
enthusiastic
Tried.
about it, but I'm not wearing that.
Is that a random Muzzy in the
What's up,
background?
Muzzy?
It is.
How's it
Muzzy
going?
came in and I was like, look, Kirby's really lonely, so he came to hang out on the couch.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, when Muzzy appears, it means we're almost at time.
I know.
Yeah.
We're
It
gonna
means,
get
it
kicked
means
out.
Atlas Reactor needs to come
That's
in.
right.
Yeah.
We need to get the heck
Cool.
out.
So let's do it. Let's give away this Archeum pack. Again, it's going to be fresh or legacy, depending on where you play. Good luck, everybody. Here goes the roll right now. Phase 404. Congratulations, Phase 404 on your Archeum pack.
Congrats.
Right on. So if you guys
Yeah.
won, I hope you enjoy your You Call It costumes. And that's a plushie pet that's following Emery around.
I love these. This came back with the Valentine's items today. This is permanently on our store again, and I'm actually really hyped because I need it.
It's super cool.
It's pretty awesome.
It's
So guys,
cute.
if you won one of the giveaways, we'll be contacting you via Twitch private message. We have to ask you a few questions. Make sure to keep an eye on your other tab. Sometimes our messages go into that one because Twitch thinks they're spam to you. You want to retrieve it out, respond back to us, and we'll get your prizes in about a week or so. We'd like to thank our very special guest, Muzzy, for coming and joining us for the best stream of the entire day.
What'd I do?
We're thanking you for showing up and keeping Kirby company. Man.
Yeah, no problem.
You know, better than that other game, what is it, Atlas Reactor? It's coming up next. Maybe you should watch it if you want to see more Muzzy.
You should.
But otherwise, next week we'll be talking about what are we talking about next week?
We're going to talk about Thunderwing Titan and upgradable underwear. Not glowing underwear, just upgradable underwear. And there you go, Muzzy. You get to hear the greatness that is ArcheAge.
That's amazing.
Upgradable underwear. And you guys know Muzzy, we were at, what was it, maybe Gamescom or one show, and he came over to the ArcheAge stations and made a Warborn.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of Warborn that you guys might make.
Yeah.
Had a little
Yeah, it
interesting characteristics.
Max sliders all over the place.
But Muzzy is an unofficial expert at ArcheAge character customization.
I
I'll
love
take
it.
it.
I love it.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week, of course, at 1:30 p.m. PST. Stick around, watch Muzzy and the Atlas Reactor crew coming up next. But otherwise, we're going to be showing off the winner of the ArcheAge Creator Contest in the video category, and that is Sparks is grounded with her cleverly